You're watching Weekend at Gabe's and I'm Weekend Gabe. This latest episode was brought to you by the good folks over at the Ghetto Flower. Use our code W at G for an exclusive 15% discount when visiting their site. Tell them I sent you. Now enjoy the show. Joining us now from an undisclosed location somewhere in the Chicago area, maybe in Chicago. We'll find out in just a moment. Filmmaker, director, producer, writer, storyteller, musician, illustrator. She does everything and anything. She's probably the most accomplished guest that we've ever had on the show. Mrs. Amber Eswani, how are you tonight?
Hi guys, I'm doing well. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
You are
got you loud and
fantastic.
clear.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Broadcasting live with us here on Weekend at Games. Thanks for giving us your time. Like I mentioned, all the things that you do, and it's not that you just do them; you do them really well, which is an accomplishment and achievement in its own right. Let's get into the part that I really want to get into, and I'm going to jump off from, is the storytelling component that you're in awe of and that you've been doing since you were a child. I heard on the podcast that you used to dress up as like an older woman, almost a grandmother, and then tell stories to like anyone who would listen. Like, what about the art of storytelling that just excites you?
Um, what excites me is that I'm also impressed by your research because that was a really long podcast that I spoke on with my cousin.
That's why we do this. That's why we do this.
But what I really love about filmmaking is that you're able to tell your experiences and you can form new experiences that you want to see in the world and like the kind of changes you want to see and how society operates. Um, like it's like the easiest way to like educate and inform and entertain all at once. That's why I like filmmaking.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And outside of film, obviously, Fuzzy Legs we're gonna get into. Your work on Chicago Fire we're gonna get into. But you are a multifaceted artist beyond that. I've seen you draw pictures. I've seen you do the ukulele. I've seen you teach other people the ukulele. And our interns dug up an audio drama on your YouTube channel from several years ago, and we were curious. We were curious a little bit. Is that something that we can expect more from you in the coming years?
I mean, it'd be cool to do it because I know a lot of people are going the audio drama route now. Those projects were actually from my college as like class projects that I made, but I think they're pretty well produced for being in a classroom.
Right.
But they were fun to make, so maybe I'll do them in the future. Um, as far as my film, I don't know if you want to get into that now.
Well, I just
or
real quick.
okay.
How does all of those things coming together sort of inform what you do as a filmmaker?
Okay, sorry about that. So being a director, you have to know a lot of different things, and I feel like with all the different capacities that I have, like I understand how a budget works. I understand what goes into music and composing, like sound design, what goes into editing, what goes into marketing the film, what goes into um, everything, like the art, the details, all different components of it. And I think that's really important to be well versed and also like to make different mediums and to make more like you're not just forced to like doing a feature or TV pilot. You can do shorter form content that is also impactful and as long as you're able to create and tell a story, you can do it in any format. I feel like as long as you have the resources to do so or make use of what you have access to.
We were talking in our pre-production meeting about the need for more diversity, more people of color, more women of color in the writing rooms, behind the camera, and it sounds like, and we'll go through a lot of lengthy of all the different roles that you have. But
Mm-hmm.
does the capacity and experience of all these different roles, from like you said, the operating part of it, the production component of it, the actual filmmaking part of it, the writing, all that, does that give you the advantage to finally step into these roles that have been having the void of having women and people of color in them?
Mm, I feel like I'm at the point where I'm going to start making and writing and directing more projects at the level that I want to make. But I feel like the past few years I've been working as like a PA. Like it differs depending on the production that I'm in. Like so for TV shows, like I've been working as an assistant, like a production assistant, office assistant, and like getting opportunities here and there. But then like I go on a streaming show and I'm a associate producer or a series producer, and then those skills don't translate to a TV show. So it's like I could do these high level skills, but then like it doesn't translate to these higher budget things that would give me the opportunity. Like I would still go in as entry level office PA, and I'm just like kind of stuck. And I've been thinking lately, like, do I have to move elsewhere to build that opportunity for myself and build my career? Because like I've been here for quite a few years, and I've been in different types of media in Chicago, and it's just like I feel like I'm at the capacity where I'm just like I need to go somewhere else to learn beyond what I have access to now.
Is that LA in your future? You can give us a weekend at Gabe's exclusive, but I have to hit the siren.
I've been thinking about it honestly, because I'm connecting with more. Like right now I work for Mescla Media as an admin assistant, and that has a lot of resources to BIPOC and non-binary filmmakers of color here in Chicago and elsewhere. And that's starting to be built, but it's like, do I stay here and build, or do I go and expand myself somewhere else and come back to help build the community?
Sure.
So I've been thinking about LA maybe in like next year or in the coming years, hopefully. Okay. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
That's not quite too exclusive. I'm not going to hit the siren. But when you come back and you got definite plans, I'm going to hit the hell out of that siren. Okay. So let's talk about the meat and potatoes here. It's been around about a year since Fuzzy Legs dropped. Me and Gabe, are you aware of that? Is that news to you? More than that?
Yeah, it's been more than that. We first premiered it in the end of 2018 at DePaul, and then we had our first screening, and it showed on PBS in January 2019.
So it has been now 4 years reflecting on this project.
Yes.
Let's get into it. Obviously, a really relatable story. You've talked about that in several interviews, how people will come up to you and say related to different parts of it, and that's been sort of an ongoing experience for you. But talk about the creation of the project, the casting, which I know that you were very hands-on with, especially in who you wanted to play the main character. So how did that come together?
Yeah, so I wrote the script right after I graduated from college, 2017. I applied to be a part of this cohort program within Pathways, Free Spirit Media in Pathways program. I applied to be a part of it, and there was 13 of us in the program, and 6 of us got to do all of us got to do a practice pitch of our project, and then 6 of us got to go in a final round. And 1 got chosen to be funded and created during the process of this cohort program, where we're all learning about production, and that was my film, Fuzzy Legs. So through that program, we learned about like producing, directing, sound, scripting, all the different departments. And as we were doing that, I was also working on pre-production with AD and different cohort members to make the film come to life. As far as casting for the film, we went through a casting company, but then for the casting call, I saw it was posted in some Facebook group, and they put like the first word as Middle Eastern that I'm casting for, and I was casting for South Asian, and they needed to speak Urdu, and that was completely different. I was just like, so when I was in the casting process, I had a lot of Arab young women, and I was like, I was like trying to teach them Urdu, and I'm like, I can't. This is just wrong. And so I reached out to someone that I knew modeled, and I looked her up, and she had like this demo or this tape where she had been practicing acting, and I was like, okay, she has some idea, some experience. So I reached out to her mom because I know her from my religious community. And then I asked her if she'd be interested in come for audition. And then she came in, and she ended up being a bit older than I thought she was. It was like years since that tape. and she was about like 17. But she was the only one that was South Asian, could speak Urdu, and I saw the ability to help craft her and become a better actress, even though I was like still learning my directing process at the time. I was like, I can do this because I want to be inclusive, and if I were to cast someone else, I would feel terrible about the representation in my own project. I'm like, I can't do that, so I'm gonna just figure out the process as I go.
What about working with kids? Obviously provides its own challenges as far as like we were talking on our pre-production meeting, you can't push a kid in the same way that you might push an adult professional. Was that a challenge for you, and does that fall into more of the producer umbrella or the director umbrella in your mind?
I feel like both, because with producing, like, we can only have the kids for so long while we're filming, and for adults you can have them like the full 12 hours. For kids, I think it's like 8 to 10 hours. So like you have to get your shots in, or else it won't happen. For directing the kids, it was difficult just because I did not have like table reads with the kids and everyone, and rehearsals for the dodgeball scene, and it's like an action scene. I've never done an action scene before, and it's like, how do I coordinate these extras throwing balls at each other and make it sure like it looks all right and like everyone's safe. uh, but I would have really appreciated like having rehearsals with like table read with all the actors. We could only afford a rehearsal with the main actress, and then I had my mom come in to read for the part of the mom when we were doing rehearsals, to like walk through the lines and the like blocking and everything. So it was a very like personal experience. Like even the production designer, he visited my home and took pictures of my home to make it more authentic.
Oh,
and
wow.
like there's certain things I took from my home that I brought there to help design the scene of the home.
How important is it to share? This was your film was based off an experience of your own, but how was it important to share those experiences? Because being that you're a first generation Pakistani American, and then also I think I was remembering hearing you saying like, you know, we see the strengths of South Asian actors, but like the women, you want to also project that as well as them being strong. When you sort of look into the field of like the current environment in Hollywood, or the projection of Pakistani or South Asian actors, like just this past weekend we saw the award for as being the best short. Riz Ahmad, he won for producing and co-writing The Long Goodbye, which was a huge achievement. But is there more ground that needs to be caught up so that we see the stories of those from those areas being projected and told, not just told, but told from the Pakistani or South Asian actors and writers?
Yeah, I feel like it's starting to have some momentum now. Like just with Bridgerton that released like a week or so ago, they had a South Asian actress played the main leads, and they were both of darker complexion. And even in Bollywood, you don't see that. They're all very like light skinned people, and like it was they represented these women as like strong and independent, but also like classy and in the world of Bridgerton, and they didn't like exoticize them being Indian. They like very like simply put like traditions or things that they would do, like the haldi ceremony before the wedding, or oil in her hair, very like simplistically intertwined it very well. And I think it's like one of the best representations so far we've had so far of like South Asian women in media. But there's also still a long way to go, because there's like very few projects I see like, and like all the brown people are like, oh my god, this is so great, it's great to see this representation, and then like, but actually to get the resources to make it and make it good, it's like it's a long ways away to like consistently get more of that kind of content made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let us in a little bit behind the curtain there, because we talked about this in our pre-production meeting as well, as far as representation not being a finish line, but more so a first step. But the average casual viewer doesn't see those struggles behind the scenes to get the funding, the struggles behind the scenes to get it pushed in the right channels. So what in your mind are the next steps beyond representation we can do to really expand this crack in the wall that's forming?
Providing more resources and like education for like how the business side of film works, because I feel like that's very like private information, or like it's not well circulated as to how to get funding for films. Like you can apply for grants and apply for projects, like different programs to apply for, like diversity programs, but then beyond that it's like up to these networks to take it from there. It's like they can't just directly pitch. It has to be like, I have to apply to so many different things and I'll finally get in and then I'll have access, and then it's a long ways away. But I think learning the business side of things and creating access and teaching BIPOC folks how that works and how to be successful in that is a big part of it. Like, I don't know many executives that are like that I can be in connection with and like learn those things. So like I feel like the BIPOC folks that are in those positions like need to give information, or the people that are allies need to like help teach others how to move beyond the short film or web series or whatever to expand themselves.
I wanted to, you kind of had a bit of a, during COVID, I don't know if this was, you're the first person to ever have this role, but you were the COVID health safety production assistant on Fargo. What was that like? What was your job? Like, were you like testing people?
Were you
or
official
did you
COVID police? Did you have the badge?
Like, was this something created before you got handed it, or it was the first of?
We were the guinea pigs. Like, we were the first production back in Chicago in 2020. Wait, what? Yeah, it was 2020. So like we were kind of the experiment of like how everything would work. Like every morning we had to send surveys to people before they come into work, and I was up at like 4 or 5 a.m. sending these surveys in different rounds of people to like make sure they filled out the survey and they weren't sick. And then they would test like a couple times a week, like PCR and rapid. No, I think we just had PCR at that point. And then I would make like packages or different things to distribute like COVID safety gear, like mask, gloves, sanitizer, everything. And then there was like it was like I don't know, it was like it was very difficult because I was having to do research about COVID and protocols and getting like testing like ASAP for things that weren't even in place yet. And it was like,
did it feel a little bit like flying blind at that point?
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm in charge of this, but I have no idea where to steer the ship.
Basically.
Like, keep us safe, but I don't know what safe looks like.
Yeah.
I think you're on that job for like a month, and maybe this probably explains.
Oh no, that was a reshoot for Fargo, or like finishing up some production like episode.
Got it.
Yeah.
But before we get you out of here, I wanted to ask you, in the interview you did, you said that Wonder Woman, the series, was like something that you idolized and you grew up watching, and Linda Carter as Wonder Woman. There's a quote you have that says, "I just wanted to be like her when I grow up." Well, would you feel like you're a Wonder Woman in your field that's still searching for its identity in diversity and inclusion?
I don't remember the Linda Carter thing. I don't know who that is. Sorry.
Shit. Well,
I think she's the voice actor of Wonder Woman, right? From the OG.
She's the actress from Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take away from your question. What was your question again? That just threw me off.
Disregard. What do you got working on? What are you working on?
So currently I'm working for Mescla Media as their admin assistant. Mescla Media is an organization that provides resources to them filmmakers of color here in Chicago and beyond. I also work for the Chicago International Film Festival as their lab program manager for this pilot year program of the Chicago Industry Exchange Lab program. So basically 5 filmmakers that pitch feature-length films, and they're going through this process of different workshops each quarter to improve themselves in their feature-length films to pitch next year at industry days, and one of them will win funds to make their film. And the others will be connected to other resources to go beyond that process. And then later this week, I start working as a producer's assistant for a show for a couple weeks, and then there's other stuff that I have with like 3AM Thoughts Productions I'm a member of.
Right.
And there's a few short stories that I've written that I want to make with them this year or next year. And there's also an international project I'm working with my religious community. So yeah, there's a lot going on.
Well, really quick before we go, speak about that religious community. Obviously, we're in the middle of Ramadan right now, and it seems like you lean on that community a lot for casting, for just having a place to come together. I believe you're located in Pilsen. Am I right about that? No, not right about that. That's
by.
okay.
Close by.
Close by Pilsen. I see you taking pictures in Pilsen with your camera. But anyways, talk about that support group and what that means and sort of what that community is for somebody who doesn't participate.
Yeah, so for me, the Shia Smiley Muslim community, they have provided me with like experiences that I couldn't say I had anywhere else. Like when I was first starting off, like after I graduated and I didn't know what to do, I volunteered and I work as like a camera operator for this big event we had in this stadium hall, on this like big event. And then I've done a few other camera operating things, and then I worked on an international film festival in 2018, and I went to Lisbon and I organized this massive film festival, and like I can't say I've done that anywhere else. And like it's like volunteer, but it's also like it's like extraordinary experiences that I wouldn't be able to experience elsewhere. And it's just like having that support and like building my community like religiously and also like within the arts field is very important. And then I also, that's one of the bigger communities I give back to, my time and my resources, because they've given so much to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Amber, I appreciate you giving us your time here on Weekend at Gabe's and getting us caught up on what you're doing. We look forward to seeing more of your work out there and your journey moving forward. I think you're doing fantastic work. I think you're definitely breaking ground and doing opening doors for a lot of people to follow through. So keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
I appreciate it. Amber Eswani joining us here on Weekend at Gabe's tonight. All right, so part of our research included other filmmakers who are part of a Q&A, and one of the other filmmakers was
the Wonder Woman quote. Okay,
yeah.
So we got to the bottom of that one at least.
All right, listen, because I was like, okay.
Listen, we hit a lot on this show. I would say we're batting in the high 380s, but every now and again we strike out. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not for lack of trying. We really appreciate Amber for coming on and being a good sport about it. And really looking forward to the next project because it seems like she's got a lot of irons in the fire.
Exactly. I love following her on Instagram. and that's how I've been seeing her post from occasionally. And I was like, the more I was learning about like the work she was doing, I was like, she would be a great guest to have on the show to really dive into to showcase the work that she's doing. So I'm glad she gave us her time.
Thank you for watching the latest episode of Weekend at Gabe's on YouTube, brought to you by the Ghetto Flower. Make sure to also click on the links in the description for more information to our guests and access to exclusive new music from the Ghetto Flower and so much more. Make sure to also like and subscribe to the show, and also continue to share, support, and show love by clicking on any of the links surrounding my head. Thanks for watching.